Welcome, everybody, to your free GMAT Prep Hour. It is June 25th, 2024. My name is Reed Arnold. I will be your tour guide through the wonderful world of the GMAT. Thanks for being here. If you're looking for other free prep options, we have them for you. You can try the first session of our GMAT courses for free if you're in a city where we have in-person instruction or any of our online courses. Sign up for a trial class, take that first session, no cost, decide if it's for you, decide if you like what we're offering. And frankly, my company might not like me saying this, but I think you should do it even if you have no intention of signing up for the course, because it's free and because we talk about some big stuff in that first class. So why not take advantage of that? You can do a similar thing with our interactive on-demand course. That's our self-paced video course or reading syllabus that we offer with kind of just a tailored question sets and whatnot for you to follow if you are self-studying. We also have our Foundations of GMAT Math workshops. We have two 5-hour courses available. We offer typically one of each a month. We have our Foundations of Math computations session and our Foundations of Math variables session. Doesn't matter what order you take those in, but you will find that they do communicate with each other. So you'll find kind of a similar mindset. Really talks about math in a way that the GMAT rewards and makes sure that those key ideas are being built up for long-term success. And frankly, even if you feel pretty strong at math, you might find something useful in these courses. I had taught the GMAT for a few years and have a math minor and got something out of learning these courses in order to teach them. So it might, take a weekend or take a Saturday and attend that session. See if you pick up anything. Today, we're continuing a series that we do in our free GMAT prep hours every now and then. The official company, GMAC, when you sign up for the test, you get access to a free bundle of practice questions of all of the question types on the new GMAT Focus, which is now just the GMAT. And what I've been doing is taking types of those questions and running through them for these free prep hours to show you how an expert, a GMAT expert, handles these problems. That doesn't mean I get all of them right. You'll see me struggle. You'll see me miss, which is fine. I think that's a useful thing to learn about this test, is that there's pretty much guaranteed you're not going to be perfect. You can still get a top 1% score even in such a situation. So we've done problem solving so far, and last time I did data sufficiency and data sufficiency and the two-part analysis questions from the data insights section. Today we're going to jump to the verbal section for the first time, and I'm going to show you how I handle critical reasoning questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the official questions in the critical reasoning category. I'm going to do them. I'm going to talk about kind of what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, what I'm thinking about. I probably won't read the thing aloud, but I will tell you what I notice in the paragraph or in the answer choices and kind of tell you what it makes me think before I make a final choice. I'm not going to stick to a perfect time. You have 2 minutes per average for critical reasoning typically. Since I'm talking aloud, it's not going to be perfect. I'll probably be a little slower than I would be if I were really working. But I will try to have the instinct of like, this is too hard and I need to guess and move on. If I do find myself in such a situation where it's just like, I got to choose a letter and get out of there, I will do that just because I know that's an important thing that students need to be aware of and teachers need to be aware of even. That timing aspect is something that comes into play on this test. So this is the official website. I have picked the critical reasoning questions. There are 15 of those. So this should take 40 minutes or so for me to get through these 15 questions, I suspect. I'm not going to time it again. I'm in study mode. Yeah, I think that'll be it. So let's just see what happens when we do this. Okay, so first thing I always do in critical reasoning is I read the question so I know what I'm getting into. And the big thing I want to figure out is if I'm dealing with an argument or if I'm dealing with an inference, or in a rare instance, if I'm dealing with something else. Usually it's going to be an argument of some time, and that tells me I need to start looking for premise and conclusion and assumptions. We'll see me do that many times, I'm sure, because arguments are most common. So which of the following statements, if true, would best explain the 84 decrease in productivity? So I'm stepping on my own words. This is not actually going to be an argument question, but I do think it's going to be argument-like, and I'll explain as I read here. So, which of the following statements, if true, explain an 84 decrease in productivity? So I'm trying to explain something weird that happened. That's what these questions, these explain a discrepancy questions, we call them. What it's going to do is it's going to tell me a story, and the story is going to set up an expectation of some kind. It's going to kind of lead to something that the author seems to think is going to happen or was going to happen. And then they're going to undercut it and say, but actually something else happened. All right. So let's see what that story is. And then let's see if I can explain the surprise. So, okay. In Asia. Okay. So what I'm getting in these first two, and I haven't read here, although I kind of know what's going to happen. I haven't read past this sentence, but so in Asia, there are these palm trees. They're not native to the area. Um, and they have to be pollinated by hand. And so the fruit is, they don't make as much fruit as expected. But these insects, which are good at pollinating the palm flowers, right? So humans have been doing it by hand, and then the insects come in, I guess they're insects, animals of some kind, they pollinate the flowers naturally, and they're efficient at it. And then the palm fruit productivity increased up by 50%, so increased quite a bit. So we have a big increase in palm fruit productivity. And then we get the surprise, right? Which is okay, but the surprise is that it's not going to continue. But then it decreased sharply in 1984. So the question is, why did we see this decrease in 84, even though the weevils were introduced before that and productivity had been high? So I'm kind of, I like to take a moment and not predict an answer, but try to think about some things that could have happened that would explain the situation, even though the thing that caused the expectation is still seemingly true, right? The weevils were still introduced before this. Now, I guess it's possible that something hurt the weevil population. If there was some new entity or a cold weather or something that caused the weevil population to die, that would explain this drop in productivity. I kind of expect something like that to be the answer. Or, some other just harmful thing for the fruits and the trees. Like the weevils are still there, but other things can hurt the trees too. So I'm just thinking about, what caused this drop in productivity, even though the weevils helped for a while. So prices fell. That's about prices, and I just don't. I'm pretty sure I'm going to eliminate that because I just don't really care about prices at this point. I'm wondering why productivity fell. Imported trees are more productive than native trees. Pest and diseases in their non-native land. No, I don't think so, because again, this might explain why this would explain why the palm trees were more productive for a while, because they didn't have the pests or diseases. Well, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it because maybe it it feels wrong. It feels like I'm supposed like the trap is to think like, oh, the pest and the pests and the diseases caught up to the tree. But I can't really infer that. I can't really assume that's to be the case. They need to tell me that the pests and the diseases caught up. By the way, what I'm doing right now is thinking about a mistake I've made in a previous, what we call Twitch the GMAT situation, where I was taking a test and I chose an answer like this and it was wrong. So I am remembering a mistake I made in the past and applying it to this question. So just, that's what you want to be doing when you're studying, right? Try to learn from your mistakes. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to be right. Rapid increases in productivity tend to deplete trees of nutrients. Yeah, okay. That feels really good to me. In fact, it feels so good to me, I'm not going to choose. I'm not even going to read the others because I think it's important to demonstrate that sometimes you don't read every answer in critical reasoning. I really hope I don't miss this because it's going to step on the point. But this is something that explains the situation, right? Yeah, we saw a huge increase in productivity, but it turns out that can cause problems, right? That can deplete trees of nutrients. And so then after that sharp uptick, there's going to be a downtick, even though the weevils are still around, right? We've hurt the trees somehow by overproducing for a little bit. So I'm not even going to read the other two. I'm going to confirm and move on. I got it right, thank goodness. Okay. So let's clear our works. Which is following if true would most strongly support the position above. So this is an argument. There's going to be a premise, a conclusion, and I'm going to do some critical thinking about it. Okay. Supplements. 100% data. Okay. By the way, I'll also tell you if a problem looks familiar to me. The new question sets, I think, are indeed new. They are not from the old version of the GMAT, and so this does not look familiar to me. The last one did not look familiar to me. I do not recognize these, but if I do, I'll tell you so you know I have a little familiarity with the thing. Okay, so and not totally different from the last question, right? It's like, hey, breakfast cereals have a bunch of vitamins, 100% of what you need. Like, seems like great. You just eat the cereals and you're good to go. Nevertheless, they say a well-balanced breakfast is a better source of those vitamins than just the cereal alone. It's a better source of those vitamins than the breakfast alone. And so this is really kind of, I'm wondering, why would I need to eat other things if the cereal has all 100% of the vitamins I need? And so it's kind of a similar mindset to the last question. Um, and I'm trying to think of like if there's something else, and it has to be really narrow in scope here. That's another important thing, right? It's not just that the other foods have other health benefits that are useful to me. That's not relevant here. The conclusion is that it's a better source of the vitamins. I don't care about the health of the food in general. I care about how having a variety of foods will help get vitamins specifically, um, as opposed to just eating breakfast alone. And so that I don't really have a great idea in mind. The only thing I'm kind of thinking of is like if there is something else in food that helps you absorb vitamins somehow, that like I guess that would be useful if the cereal doesn't have it, but the other foods will. Maybe you know, like having a mixture of foods helps you absorb vitamins better. It's closer to what I'm thinking about. So now I'm looking at my answer choices with that in mind. So the first one looks pretty close to what I thought. The natural combination of vitamins with other nutrients makes those vitamins more usable to the body. In the vine. I'm going to keep it. I don't feel 100% about it yet, but I do like it. Foods in which that seems direct because the fortified vitamins are the cereals fortified with vitamins have it. So why does it matter if they neglect to eat the foods that occur naturally, right? I want to know why those other foods are a better source for the vitamins. Foods must be sort of removed during processes. That's why the cereals have been fortified, but that doesn't explain why I should eat other foods. Unprocessed cereals are naturally high in several of the vitamins. Usually, I don't care about that. Seems irrelevant. Cereals containing vitamins are harder to digest than cereals. So this is kind of like that trap, right? This is a health reason why cereals with vitamins, you know, might be avoided. But that's, and I hope I'm not wrong. That doesn't seem relevant. It's not other health benefits. I only care about the source of vitamins and why other foods might be a better source. Yeah. So there we go. A is correct. All right, so let's take a look at this one here. Sharon's argument is structured to lead to which of the following as a conclusion. So this is an unusually phrased question. It tells me I'm making somewhat of an inference. I'm trying to like understand where Sharon's going with whatever argument she makes. So Roland, the alarming fact is that 90% of the people in this country now report that they know someone who is unemployed. Okay, so basically Roland's saying like, hey, a lot of people know someone who's unemployed. That phrasing alone just seems like, I don't know. I guess I guess that's it seems like a lot, but it's like is knowing someone who's unemployed the same as being unemployed, right? What if 100 people know the same unemployed person? You know, it seems like it's easy to get this percentage high, and maybe that's where Sharon's going to go. Let's find out. Yeah, so Sharon's kind of going to what I was thinking, which is like it's pretty easy to know someone unemployed. That doesn't mean that the unemployment rate is a problem, right? If 5% is considered normal, that's 1 out of 20. A lot of people might know that one person. And so I'm just going to choose A and move on because I really think that's it. The fact that 90% of people know someone who's unemployed is not an indication that unemployment is high. Yeah, that's kind of where we're going here. So I noticed I didn't read the other answer choices because I had it. If so, I forgot what teacher. I'm not the origin of this thought, but another teacher says like, "What's the best? If you feel really good about an answer, what's the best thing that can happen when you read the other answers?" Or what's the most likely thing to happen? The most likely thing to happen is that you're just going to get confused. It's possible that you'll catch a mistake, but if you feel really good, notice on the last question, I felt kind of good about it, but I kept going because I didn't feel really good. I felt really good about this. Why waste time reading other things? And maybe I'm wrong and I'll learn from that, but day of the test, you've got to save some time. You can't read every word in the verbal section. There's just too many of them. Okay, so which of the following is an assumption made in drawing a conclusion? This is a standard assumption question, standard argument, find the premise conclusion. Think about the assumptions. So I'm rereading the first sentence a few times here. You don't have to read the whole thing at once. You can stop and understand. So bicycle is a reflection of the kind of demand they're trying to meet. I don't quite know what technological conservatism means, but okay. Something about how bike manufacturers do stuff is because of the demand for their product. So people who want bikes want a certain thing. Bicycle racers. So bicycle racers are the serious people who are interested in innovation. And that's the only cyclists that want that. So it seems like most people don't really care about innovation. And so I'm seeing, okay, technological conservatism and innovation are at odds with each other, right? And so it's kind of saying like most people just want a regular old bike. They don't want it to be fancy. They don't want it to be new. They don't care. And so there's not a lot of innovation. Seems like there's a slow innovation in biking because only the racers care. Or at least what I think it's going to say. Yeah. So, but something about authorities will accept as standard for purposes of competition in bike races. What? I don't know where. So this is like the bike racing authorities. So we're saying that since only bike racers care about innovation, the only innovation will be what the bike racing kings accept. And so I want to know if maybe, I wonder if maybe there's something else limiting innovation in bicycle technology. Even though bicycle racers are the only ones who care about innovation, I still want to know if maybe there's another thing that holds back innovation besides the regulators in the races. And I don't have a great prediction for that. I just know that I'm looking for the assumption that says like, no, it is really the authorities and not something else that's stifling innovation in bike technology. I don't really care about the market expanding. I care about innovation improved. I don't care about where the innovation happens, right? This is comparing small workshops to major manufacturing. I don't think that's relevant. Strong demand for innovations that fall outside. So, okay, this is saying that like the bike racers might want innovations that the authorities don't want. Well, it says they do not generate that. If they did, this is called, by the way, the negation test, which is a very useful thing to check, find the assumption questions. If racers who do like innovation, if they generate a strong demand for innovation outside of what the kings want, the authorities want, yeah, this is the answer. Again, I felt really good about it. It really did what I wanted to do. I'm not going to keep reading. All right. Which of the following? But when I'm reviewing, if I was, and you should review every question, I would look at the answer choices I didn't look at and review them. And I know they're wrong, but you can practice seeing why they're wrong. That's a good thing to do for review. So just because I'm not doing them now doesn't mean I wouldn't do them for studying. All right, which of the following, if true, would cast the most doubt on the effectiveness of the plan? So this is a weekend question, which is an argument. We're going to count to finance proposed improvements by increasing bridge tolls. Okay, so people want to finance improvements by increasing bridge tolls, and I want to say that that probably won't work. Okay. Main commuter rail increase ridership. So we're going to raise tolls for cars. So raise tolls for cars that will finance the improvements. Although the proposed improvements are needed indeed, the authorities plan should be rejected. Forced drivers. Interesting. So, man, this is strange because I think that if I really think about what the question is asking here, I just want to say that financing the improvement by increasing bridge tolls won't work. The author spends a whole sentence here talking about how doing that is not fair, but that doesn't seem relevant to this question I'm asked. I don't really care why it's not fair to use car funds to fund the improvements. I want to know why it won't work. I guess maybe it's like maybe the car drivers will be pissed, and I shouldn't say that on a recording. Maybe the car drivers will be mad about being told raising tolls, and they won't want to pay it, so they won't drive as much. I don't know. I just want to know. I'm just really trying to think, why will raising the toll on cars not fund the improvements? That's really all I'm really looking for. A is trying to make me, I think A is trying to make me think that, oh, the car contingency will come in and they'll at the hearing and they'll complain. But I don't know that, right? That's bringing in my own assumptions, and you gotta be careful of bringing your own assumptions. So that's how. When bridge tolls are increased, the authority must pay a private contractor to just the automated. Okay. Why won't it work though? This seems weird. So this basically says that once you say we're going to increase a toll, commuters buy more tokens, which they didn't talk about tokens. But it's like, are the tokens the things that pay for that you use on the bridge? I'm going to keep it. It seems weird. Um, I like D better, which is like people just switch to a longer route if they have to pay more. Almost 20%. That's a lot. This one, notice also postpone the effects of the increase. But if it's just postponing, eventually the effects of the increase happen and they'll raise the money. So I'm going to get rid of C because I like D better. I still don't love it though. I'm going to read E. And chairman of the authority, I don't really care. I'm going to say D. That's tough. That was a tough one. All right. Which one best completes the passage? So this is a fill in the blank question. Fill in the blank questions I usually think of as weakeners, but they do other things as well. You kind of don't know until you get there what you need the blank to be. So let's read it and see. People buy prestige when they buy a premium product. They want to be associated with something special. Mass marketing techniques and price reduction strategies should not be used because so basically it says like, hey, people buy premium, they buy prestige when they buy a premium product. So like we feel hoity-toity and we want to be special when we do that. So if we mass market and reduce prices, it's going to take away that prestige. People aren't going to feel as special, and so they won't buy the product, I think is what I'm looking for. Yeah, that seems important, right? Continues, like we need to continue feeling exclusive. And if we lower prices, I don't love it yet, so I'm actually not going to choose it, but I feel pretty good about it. Look at price. No, that's not relevant. I'm talking about quality. We're really hitting on the prestige and the hoity-toityness. I don't care about increasing profits. That's really, no, no. It's more costly. Yeah, I'm going to say B. Okay. So this is an inference question. So now I'm not doing premise conclusion. I'm reading what's there, and I'm going to just try to think about what else has to be true. That's what an inference question asks you to do. So increases in the high density light, whatever that is, HDL. So increases in HDL lowers cholesterol levels. And I'm already, so I haven't talked about taking notes. I usually do take notes. I'm not doing it today because I don't know, it's kind of hard to on a computer. Maybe I'm being lazy. But sometimes I do like to take notes. And this is already one where I kind of want to be clear, right? Up HDL, we lower cholesterol. By how do we do that? We increase the ability to expunge cholesterol. So HDL causes this, makes you get rid of cholesterol easier, which lowers cholesterol. So it's kind of a cause and effect happening. Levels of HDL of some individuals are significantly increased by a program of regular exercise and weight reduction. So by a program of regular exercise and weight. So it seems like those who regularly exercise and reduce their weight raise their HDL, which helps you get rid of cholesterol, which lowers cholesterol. So I guess those that work out and regular exercise might lower their cholesterol. Individuals who are underweight do not run any risk of developing, no, don't develop any risk. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's, I can't say that. Individuals who do not exercise risk, I don't really, no, I don't know if that's true. I can't say anything about people who don't exercise much. Um, most effective. I can't say that's most effective. I know it's not that. Lowers cholesterol. Yeah, so there we go. I mean, notice how vague this is too. Some individuals, right? Workout and weight reduction lowers cholesterol in some individuals. Compare that to individuals who are underweight have no, like no one who's underweight has any risk. That's so extreme. Individuals who do not exercise have a high risk. No, I just know that some individuals lower their HDL when they work out, and lowering HDL helps you get rid of cholesterol. So I feel good about D. I'm not even going to read E. Okay. So this is a boldface problem. This is anytime you see boldface sentences, you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to understand what job the boldface is doing in an argument structure. Okay, so let's see what it's doing. Not advertise. Yuck. Tricky. Yeah, but remember, it's more important that I understand what the boldface is doing than to understand every little piece of this argument. Because there's quite a bit here. Basically, what I'm noticing is that this is a tendency. that tends to happen when you restrict advertising. Things have happened, which makes, some people might think like, oh, great, then let's remove the restrictions on advertising legal services. Because if we remove the restrictions, some good things seem to happen, right? There's more lawyers and cost to consumers have declined. But it turns out that this thing that seems good, our author's going to say like, but we shouldn't do it. Like here's a regulation, here's a restriction that we should not eliminate. Because some bad things would happen. And so it's like, here's the final output of the situation if we remove this particular restriction. So I would say this is like a general thing that happens that seems to be good for consumers, but the author thinks that the opposite will happen in this specific instance for this specific restriction. So the first is a generalization that the consumer accepts as true. I like that already. The second is a consequence that follows from the truth of that generalization. No, the second is definitely at odds with the first, so I don't do that. First is a pattern of cause and effect. The consumer will be repeated in the case at issue. No, the author thinks this is not going to be repeated this time. Predicts will not hold. Yes. I'm not sure about the second part, but I'm going to keep it. I'm going to skip it. Sake of time, I'm just going to move on. The first is evidence the consumer advocate offers in support of a certain prediction. No, and the second is not that prediction. The first acknowledges a consideration that weighs against the main position that the consumer advocate defends. The second is that position. Okay. I really hate this one, but for the sake of time, I would have to choose and move on. And remember, it's the test. You can come back to it in this version of the test. God, I think I'm going to choose E. Now, let's see if I'm right. I'm not. Okay. So the reason I didn't choose C, originally I wondered if maybe I didn't think the second was a consideration in support of the prediction. I kind of thought the second was the prediction. The first acknowledgement, a consideration that weighs against the main position, the consumer defense. That was dumb. I shouldn't have chosen that because that's not what the first does. It doesn't weigh against the main position. It's just something that tends to be true that happens not to be true in this case. Okay, that was a tough one. For the sake of time, I'd move on. Nobody's perfect. The objection implied above to the productivity measure described is based on doubts about the truth of which of the following statements. So that's a weird question. Objection implied. I'm gonna have to read this paragraph to understand what this is really even asking. Correctly measuring the productivity of service workers is complex. What's the following statements? Okay, so basically it's saying it's hard to measure productivity because something that seems to be an increase in productivity cannot be coupled with something that really should be seen as a loss of productivity. The objection implied above to the productivity measure described. So meaning the objection to the productivity measure of delivering a bunch of letters is based on doubts about something else. So I'm not talking about I'm actually only talking about the letters delivered. So I actually don't care about other service workers here. The delivery of letters is the primary activity of the Postal Service. That's, no, that's not what we're doubting. It's delivery of letters, which includes not losing. I'm gonna keep it, but I don't like it. Productivity is described to categories of workers, not to individuals. That's no. Quality of service rendered can be appropriately be ignored in computing productivity. To measuring the productivity of postal workers. I think it's E. I think it's simply E. And so notice this is a pretty good example also of like, I wasn't sure about B. I wasn't sure about D. I didn't love them, but I wasn't sure about them. But E seems pretty right. Right. The whole thing is like maybe the number to live. No, well, hold up. Now I'm talking myself out of it because he does think it's relevant. We don't doubt that it's relevant to measure the productivity of postal workers. It's just we just don't want to say it's dispositive. So I'm actually going to not choose that one. But I don't think we can doubt the quality. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, okay. Oof, tough. E was very tempting. Um, the author does think that delivering letters is relevant to postal workers' job, just not that it's the only thing that's relevant. It's not just the number of letters delivered, it's also the number of letters lost. And this is kind of crummy, but like the quality of services rendered, I think that includes like not losing letters as a postman, which is a little tenuous in my opinion, but it's the best answer given here. The delivery of letters is the primary activity of the postal service. I don't think the author doubts that. It seems to be the case. He's just like, hey, not only do you need to deliver lots of letters, you need to not lose lots of letters also. So I thought D was the best answer of those given. Pretty tough one though. Which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument? Standard argument, we're going to weaken it. 6th century BC, offered a statue supposedly Greek from the 6th century. Okay, so we think the author thinks this is a fake. That's the main conclusion. This thing is fake. And it's always our job. The first thing we want to do is identify the conclusion. And why do they think it's fake? Because it has things that look like chemical bath, which is used for faking, right? The statue has evidence of what's used for faking, therefore it's probably fake. It's always our job to understand the argument and then say, but maybe the conclusion is wrong, meaning maybe it's not fake. Even though it has evidence, it has like the markings of being fake, it has, a chemical bath. Um, it has something that looks like it was produced by a chemical bath. Um, it does not have the uneven weathering that an ancient service has. It's uniform. So even though it has these like signs of being fake, maybe it's not fake, which then makes me want to say like, okay, then how did it get the signs of being fake as a real thing? Why does it look uniform even though it's real? And so I'm looking for an answer that can explain why something that has those evidence of that uniform weathering produced by chemical bath can happen in a real statue, in this real statue. It's not about who can accept a recently statue. I don't think that's it because yeah, but maybe it's still fake. You can fake it. So I don't think that. Um, and privately owned. So it says not only fakers aren't the only ones who use chemical bath. Some dealers do it and collectors do it, which would private owned. I'm pretty sure it's C. I feel pretty good about C. I'm gonna keep reading though, just to check. No, this is just saying like the only thing fakers can do is chemical baths, but that's actually saying that like fakers can't make it look real, but that doesn't explain why this one that looks fake is real. Allegedly Roman sculpture. I don't care about another thing. So C. I don't care about the Roman statue. Not relevant. Okay. The official's conclusion logically depends on which of the following assumptions. It's an argument. It's an assumption question. Congress could prohibit high-level government officials from accepting. So I'm looking at the official's conclusion. So this official concluded that a prohibition would be unfortunate because it would prevent high-level livelihood for 3 years. Well, Mike, why is the only thing that a high-level government official Why is the only thing they could do to be a lobbyist? Yeah, it seems to say that being a lobbyist is the only thing a high government official can do, um, which doesn't seem like a good assumption. B is, I think, a pretty effective trap. B says that lobbyists tend to be high government officials, but that's not the same thing as saying that high government officials have to be lobbyists. It's a twist, right? Um, I don't need every lobbyist to be a high government official. The argument is assuming that every high government official has to be a lobbyist to earn a living. So B is, I'm pretty sure, wrong. I don't care about low government officials. That's not relevant to the argument. Yeah, so here's what I thought. D, high government officials have to be lobbyists to earn a living. So I'm going to choose D and move on. Okay, guitar strings often go dead. Oh, so sorry, I got to read the question first. Which of the following investigations most likely to yield significant information to help evaluate? So I'm evaluating an hypothesis. This is like an assumption question or an argument question. I'm just understanding the argument and wondering about it after a few weeks of intense use. Okay, so we know guitar strings go dead after they're used intensely for a few weeks. Um, this researcher's son hypothesized that dirt and oil. So we know guitar strings go dead. The guess is that, oh, it's dirt and oil that causes the deadness, not changes in the material properties of the string. My question is, do dirt and oil change the material properties of the string? Is that relevant? Then it's like both. It's they're connected. I guess I'd also wonder, do dirt and oil, do they cause less responsive and less bright tones? Can you just have dirt and oil and can that result in a duller sound without material changes in the strings? That's also just a question I have. So let's see what we got. I don't care about the metal alloy used to make the strings. I don't care about guitarists, how fast they go, what types of guitarists make the strings go dead. Brands of guitars doesn't seem like a relevant comparison. We already know that this D we already know is true. Dead strings and new strings provide different quality sounds. I think we know that. God, I guess E. Smearing various substances on new guitar. If smearing various substances causes new strings to go dead, then dirt and oil might cause guitar strings to go dead. I don't love it, but I'm gonna choose it. Okay, yeah. Moving on. Which of the following true most strongly supports the projection that its plan will lead to an increase in sales of pencil leads? So it's an argument. We're going to strengthen it. Manufacturers of pencils make the most of their profit on leads rather than the pencils themselves. The right company can't sell its lettuce cheaply. Okay, so it's not to dog on the company, it's kind of the Apple method, right? We're going to make a product that you have to use our sub products with. You have to use our charger, you have to use our software, you have to use our whatever. Except we're doing it with pencils and pen and lead now. It's like, hey, we're gonna make a pencil where you have to buy our lead. Even, we can't sell our lead for as much. Why? Um, but we're gonna make you buy our more expensive lead. And we're saying this will increase in an increase in its sales of pencil leads. So I don't have a great prediction in mind. I just know it's about the selling of pencil leads, not the selling of pencils. I want to strengthen this idea that we will sell more pencil lead with this plan. So the least expensive mechanical pencils, I don't know if that's this company or others. All we know is their lead is more expensive. We don't know if their pencils are cheaper. Annual sales of the pencils are expected to triple. That's fine. What's going to happen to Wright's pencils, though? I don't care about general increase in sales. I don't care about is about the cost of manufacturing the lead. I'm talking about increasing sales of the lead. I don't care about how much it costs to make it. That's actually not relevant. Another plan has the same idea. Okay, does that mean it's going to work? Yeah, I mean, he's just like, hey, people really like our pencil, so they'll buy it. Okay, boring. That one very interesting. I was hoping for a more interesting answer. Okay. Looking for now a logical flaw in an argument. So it is an argument. It's kind of like a weekend question. We're looking for a logical flaw in this argument. Okay. So this reminds me of a question I've taught a lot about hotel rooms, or not hotels, not hotel rooms, hotel buildings. And we have here kind of a, you can call it survivor bias, is my guess, right? We're saying, hey, this book and the author of this argument is saying like, hey, here are 100 paintings, 50 old, 50 contemporary. The old ones are made by more skilled artists. The new ones are not. And my curiosity is like, well, are old is artwork made by skilled artists more likely to live into the future? If it is, then these are not a fair comparison, right? We're comparing 50 pieces of work that are just biased towards good, talented artists and 50 that are more evenly distributed. And the analogy I often use is music, right? It's like, oh man, music from the 70s is so much better than today. Well, it's not. It wasn't. It's just that we only listened to the best songs of the decade, right? The stuff that was bad didn't last, right? It's a pure survivor bias. So I'm really wondering about survivor bias in the answer choices. We'll see if it's something else, but that's the tack I'm on. Um, well, I mean, A is similar. It's not, so A is not exactly what I thought, but it's basically the author just cherry picked. I actually feel pretty good about that. I think I'm gonna choose it and move on. Yeah, so it's not exactly what I thought. Oops, but it got me in the right ballpark. And that's true about that pause and state the goal. You just want to be in the right ballpark, right? Basically, I was wondering, is the sample biased by survivorship, or in this case, because the author cherry picked? In this case, the author cherry picked. That's fine. All right, last question. Which of the following, if true, most helps resolve the paradox? So this is like an explain the discrepancy. It's going to lay out something that seems kind of strange, but it's my job to make sense of. Products sold under brand name, prices because superior to non-brand rival products. So brands used to be better than non-brands. Notice how much time I took on that first sentence. I just want to emphasize that. I stop and read and reread a lot more than my students sometimes do. It's easy to just kind of rush through, but I often tell my students reading is not thinking. Let yourself think. Really understand what we're setting up here. Okay, so brands used to cost more than non-brands. Great. Cost more and be better. Okay. But now it looks like now they're not necessarily better. A lot of technical expertise, a lot of technical increases have changed that game. Now they're not better or more expensive. But here's the twist. So you think like, oh, I guess the brand isn't an advantage anymore. Brand names are a bigger marketing advantage than ever. So how can we explain this? Why are they have a bigger marketing advantage, even though they aren't more expensive and they're not actually better than their non-brand products, the non-brand rivals. And so I don't know, people recognize the name. This for some reason they still like the brand. That's what I'm looking for. Brand names are taken by consumers as a guarantee of getting a product as good as the best rival product. I kind of like that. It's like consumers just think like this, the brand name means it's at least as good as other products, maybe better. And so that just, they just trust the brand name. Um, I kind of want to choose and move on. That was the last question. I'm going to do it just because why not? Yeah, it was right. Okay. I feel like there were a lot of A. How many of these were answer A? Um, one, two. No, not that many actually. Three, four. Just too early and too late. 4 to 15. It's a little bit overrepresented. Which answer was not represented very much? C, D, B, D. There was an E that I missed. D, C, D, E, E, A, A. I guess maybe C. Not very many C's. One, two, three. That's exactly perfect. I don't know. It seems like a fairly even distribution. For some reason, I felt like there were a lot of times I was choosing an answer early and not reading the other answers. But there were plenty of D's and E's out there that I had to get to. Okay. So that was it. There you go. That's how a GMAT expert might handle critical reasoning. Now, I do want to just kind of say that I know my style. Some teachers have different kind of opinions. I know I am more upfront in my pre-work. I'm very big on advocating like save going to the answers until you've understood the passage and know what you need the answer to do. And other teachers are much bigger on, I mean, I don't think they would say don't do that at all, but I think they would spend a little less time on that and get to the answer choice and do more answer choice evaluation, which is a very useful skill, and all talented test takers are doing both, I assure you. The teachers that emphasize answer evaluation are still doing the upfront reasoning. And even though I emphasize upfront reasoning, you probably saw that I did a lot of answer choice analysis as well. You want a rich toolkit to get through these problems because you'll be rewarded for that. But hopefully I hope this made some light bulbs click. I hope it kind of opened your eyes to what someone is noticing when they go through this. I think notice how specific I was at certain times. I tried to be clear, like how specific I was about what it said, right? Like I only care about pencil lead sales was that one example. I only care about vitamin intake, right? It was like, I don't really care about other health benefits. It's about vitamin intake. You have to be really specific on what the thrust of the argument is about, and don't let yourself get distracted by irrelevant things. And notice that, yeah, if you feel really good about an answer, there's no reason to keep reading. Choose it and move on. And don't, if you feel kind of good, stick around and keep working. But if you feel really good, like that does exactly what I wanted, choose it and get out of there, save the time. So that is how a GMAT expert might handle the critical reasoning questions. We still have multi-source reasoning, tables, graphs, and reading comprehension to do. So look down the pipeline for those. I hope this was helpful for you. Again, if you are looking for free GMAT study resources, we have them available, including a whole library of free GMAT prep hours on our YouTube page. If you're watching the recording of this, you probably found that page. I hope you take a look at some of the other videos. At this point, we have a whole curriculum. There's really not much else to say. We've laid out what you need to get a really great score on this test in those free GMAT prep hours. So give them a look, use them to your advantage. Hopefully I will see you at the next one, and best of luck in your studying. Thank you much.